In physics of radiation, we were discussing different laws governing the black body radiation. Actually, in this heading, we have already studied and discussed in detail one of the laws, that is Kirchhoff's law. Now, our aim is to discuss other laws like Wien's laws, Religion's law, Planck's law. Actually, Planck's law explains the complete spectrum of the black body radiation. But before discussing these particular laws related to the black body radiation, we have to know some basic fundamentals, particularly regarding radiation pressure and energy density of radiation. When you say radiation pressure, it means radiation pressure exerted by the black body radiation, and you know the black body radiation is actually of electromagnetic character. Particularly it lies in the range of the wavelength of infrared radiation. So this is actually the subject matter of radiation pressure exerted by the electromagnetic waves. And to know the idea of radiation pressure and energy density, actually we will divide this section of lectures into mainly three parts to discuss with the different situations. In this lecture, in fact, I am just going to discuss the most elementary part of the lecture, that will be actually the relation between the energy density and the pressure exerted by the collimated radiation. And after that, we will see what is the relation between the energy density and the diffused radiation and the pressure exerted by the diffused radiation. Actually, you know that when electromagnetic waves fall on a surface, they exert definite pressure, and this pressure is actually called radiation pressure. In fact, in the electromagnetic theory, this radiation pressure is rigorously explained in terms of Maxwell's stress tensor. And already I have discussed this radiation pressure in terms of Maxwell's stress tensor in electrodynamics. But here, our aim is to develop a very simplified theory to discuss the radiation pressure and the energy density. Actually, the existence of radiation pressure is simply borne out by the tail of comets veering round so as to always opposite to the sun. So now let us start to know the energy density and the pressure of the collimated radiation. In this regard, first of all, I would like to define what is intensity of radiation. I hope you have already studied in the theory of waves and oscillation the intensity of any wave. So definition is just general, that is intensity of any wave, how it is defined. Just like that, we will define the intensity of radiation. Actually, it is defined in this way. It is amount of radiant energy passing in unit time through unit area held perpendicular to the beam. It means whenever you want to define the intensity of radiation, you have to calculate what amount of energy is actually passing in unit time through unit area of a surface which is kept perpendicular to the direction of flow of energy. And energy density, as you know, it is energy of the radiation which is distributed in unit volume. So energy distributed in unit volume is known as energy density. Now we will actually relate these two quantities, that is intensity of radiation and the energy density. And for this, let us consider a tube of length C, as you are seeing in this figure. Here actually c is the speed of the electromagnetic wave, and we consider for simplicity the cross-sectional area of this tube is unity, as I have shown in this figure here that A is equal to 1. It means cross-sectional area of this tube or this cylinder is actually equal to 1. This unity of cross-sectional area has been taken for simplicity. You may take its area simply A. Now radiation, which actually falls in unit time, will distribute in this tube in a volume which is actually volume of this tube. And what will be volume of this tube? You can see as volume is simply area of cross section times length, and since area of cross section is 1 and length we have considered equal to c, which is actually the distance covered by the electromagnetic radiation in unit time, and so a volume will be simply 1 into c. So the radiation falling normally to this cross section of unit area will be actually distributed in this volume c, and as energy falling per second per unit area is intensity, so in this way we can define the intensity as c times u. So let us consider, let c equal to length of a tube where c be the speed of the electromagnetic wave or the radiation, and A equal to 1, and this is area of cross section of the tube. So volume of the tube, if we assume that volume is V, then you know this will be simply cross-sectional area times length, and length is equal to C, and as A is equal to 1, so this will be 1 into C, that is equal to C. Now if we consider that radiation is falling normally on this surface, then as in 1 second everything covers a distance equal to its speed, so the radiation will be actually cover a distance of c, that is the radiation falling in 1 second will be distributed in this tube. And so if we consider that if U is equal to energy density of the radiation, as we have defined this energy density as the energy distributed in unit volume. So if we assume that U is energy density of the radiation, then what does it mean? It means in the unit volume there is a U amount of energy. And so what will be the amount of energy distributed in this volume C? That will be simply U into C. And you know the energy distributed in this volume is actually falling per second on unit area. And as by the definition of intensity we know the energy falling on unit area per second is intensity, so intensity will be simply equal to the energy distributed in this volume of the tube. Then intensity of the radiation. What will be intensity of radiation? This will be simply I equal to C into U. C into U. Actually, our aim is to calculate the radiation pressure, and to calculate the radiation pressure, let us consider a movable surface of unit area, which is actually held at right angles to the parallel beam of a radiation. As I have told you, we are just considering in this case the collimated radiation, and so we consider that there is a parallel beam of radiation which is actually falling on a surface of unit area which is moving. So let us consider this surface area, and this surface area is actually moving against the radiation with a small velocity. This arrowhead actually represents the direction of propagation of radiation, and this surface of unit area is moving with a velocity v, let us say, just opposite to the direction of the propagation of this radiation, and you know this radiation is traveling at a speed of c. So actually in 1 second, when radiation will fall on this surface, then what will be the distance covered, what will be the length in which the radiation will be actually distributed? That will be simply c plus b. How you can say this is c plus b? For this we assume that this cross section is, or this surface is traveling with a speed v in the direction of the radiation. If it travels in the direction of radiation, you know that in 1 second the radiation will travel travel a distance c, and at the same time in 1 second this surface will also travel a distance v. So if radiation is incident on this surface, then total distance covered by the radiation in 1 second will be c plus v. But this is just for calculation, but here we are assuming that this surface is actually traveling at a speed v, which is actually much smaller than this c in against of the radiation. So what I have told you, let us write it here, that we consider a movable surface of cross-sectional area A equal to 1 and held at right angles to the parallel beam of radiation, and we also assume that it is being moved against the direction of radiation with a velocity v equal to velocity of the surface against the propagation of radiation. Here actually we also consider that this v is much smaller than c, so that radiation may fall to the surface. So in 1 second, the length of the radiation falling on the surface will be what? As I have explained, this length will be simply c plus v. So you can say the length of the radiation falling on the surface equal to what? This will be C plus V. Now, as we have assumed that the cross-sectional area of this surface is unity, so actually the volume generated will be equal to simply C plus V. Why? Because volume is length times cross-sectional area, and cross-sectional area is 1. So this will be C plus V into 1, that is C plus V. And if U is the energy density, you know the energy density is simply energy distributed in unit volume. So energy distributed in this volume will be actually equal to C plus V times energy density, that is U. So therefore energy content in this length, what will be the amount of this energy? This will be C plus V, this is length, into 1, this is cross-sectional area, into energy density. So this is simply C plus V times U. Now actually we have written here C plus V as the length which actually the radiation will travel in 1 second for falling on the surface, but actually we have assumed that the surface is moving with velocity v in against of the radiation. So actually this energy is compressed into a space of length c minus v. So you can see this energy is compressed into a space of length c minus v. And as the length is decreased in which the radiation is actually compressed, so definitely as the amount of energy remains fixed, so definitely the energy density will increase. Only then, since the length decreases, it means volume in which the radiation is actually distributed is decreased, and so to keep the amount of energy same, because energy remains conserved, there must be an increment in the density of the radiation. So you can say as energy is fixed, so to keep the value of energy same, energy density must increase. As you can see that first of all we have assumed that there is a length in which the energy is distributed, and that length is actually equal to C plus V. And in this condition energy density is U, and so the energy content is actually equal to C plus V into U. Now we assume that the radiation is actually distributed in a length of C minus V, and so to keep the value of energy same, definitely the energy density should increase. And let us consider that now the energy density is U plus delta U. So let the energy density is now U plus delta U. So this delta U is simply the increment of energy density. And as I have told you, the amount of energy is fixed. It means the amount of energy distributed in this volume C plus V and this volume C minus V is same. So what will be our result? So the energy distributed in the length C plus V will be what? You know, this is C plus V times 1. This is volume multiplied by U. So this is amount of energy distributed in 1 second in this length C plus V. And this will be equal to the energy distributed in this length C minus V. And you know, when the length is C minus V, then unit cross-sectional area is again unity. So volume will be C minus V into 1. And now the energy density is U plus delta U. So we have from energy conservation, this is C plus V into U equal to C minus V into U plus delta U. And so you can see from here that this U plus delta U over U will be what? This will be equal to C plus V over C minus V. You can see the algebra. This is a very simple equation. So U plus delta U over U is equal to C plus V over C minus V. Now this may be simplified in this way. Let us take C as a common factor. So this will be simply 1 plus V over C over C into 1 minus V over C. So this C will actually cancel out. Now you can see from here that this U plus delta U over U is what? This is 1 plus delta U by U, and that will be simply equal to 1 plus V over C over 1 minus V over C. So we can write this equation in this way. This is 1 plus delta U over U, and this will be equal to 1 plus V over C over 1 minus V over C. And we may write in this way this expression. This is 1 plus V over C into 1 minus V over C to the power minus 1. Now we will expand this factor by the binomial expansion under the assumption that this V over C is much smaller than 1. So in fact we will expand it to the first approximation, and you know 1 plus x to the power n is 1 plus nx. Simply we neglect all the higher power term in this case when actually x is much smaller than 1. So here in place of x there is V over C. So expanding this factor which I have just underlined here by a binomial expansion under the assumption of first approximation, what will be our result? You can see this will be 1 plus delta U over U equal to 1 plus V over C into 1 plus V over C, 1 plus Nx. And so this will be simply 1 plus V over C whole square. And again we will make the binomial expansion of this factor and expanding it binomially to the first approximation. What will be the result? Actually the result will be 1 plus delta U over U equal to 1 plus 2V over C. So this 1 and 1 will actually cancel out, and you can see that this delta U over U is equal to 2V over C. And therefore we can write this increment of the energy density will be actually equal to what? This will be 2UV over C. So let us say this is equation 2. So we have actually calculated the increment of the energy density when the surface on which the radiation is falling is moving at a smaller speed v, which is much smaller than the speed c of the radiation, just against the propagation of the radiation. Now as the energy density is increases, so there will be an increase in energy in a column of length c. And if we want to find the increase of energy in a column of length c, then what will be that? Simply we will actually multiply the length of the column by this increment of energy density, because you know the column has a cross-sectional area of unity. So in this case volume will be actually simply C into 1, that is C. So you can say the increase of energy in a column of length C and area of cross section unity. Area of cross section unity. What will be actually that increment? That will be simply C into 1. C is actually the length and one is unit, area of cross section. So C times 1 is volume, and we will multiply it by the increment of the energy density. So we will get the increment of the energy. And you can see the value of delta U just we have calculated in this equation 2. So let us substitute the value of this delta U in this equation. So what will be it? This will be simply C times 2UV over C. Now this C will cancel out, and so this will be equal to 2UV. Say this is equation 3. So in this way we have calculated what amount of energy will be actually increased when the surface on which the radiation is falling is moving with a small velocity v. When you say small, it is a smaller, much smaller than actually the speed of the radiation c. Now let us consider that P be the radiation pressure due to the incident radiation. Then actually the total pressure on the surface will be what? That will be simply 2P. Why? Because you know the reflected wave also exerts the same pressure, and so in this condition the pressure actually exerted on the surface will be not P, but that will be equal to 2P. So let P equal to radiation pressure due to the incident radiation Then, as I have told you, the total pressure on the surface will be not P, but it will be 2P. And why it is 2P? Because we know that the reflected wave, after when the radiation falls on the surface, the wave gets reflected, and so the reflected wave also exerts the same pressure. Hence, the effective pressure exerted on the surface will be 2P instead of P. So, as the reflected wave also exerts the same pressure, so total pressure, or you can say effective pressure, total pressure on the surface, if we write it as P dash, then this P dash will be actually equal to 2P. And so we can now find the work done per second per unit area. You know, in work done per second per unit area will be what? As our surface travels a distance V in 1 second, so the displacement will be V, and force on a unit area is called pressure, and that is equal to 2P. So force times displacement, that will be actually work done, and in this way you can say, therefore, work done per second per unit area This will be what? This will be 2P times V. Actually, this 2P is force acting on unit area, and this V is actually displacement in 1 second. So work done per second per unit area will be 2P times V. Now actually we have already calculated that the increase in energy in a column of length C is actually equal to 2UV, see here in this equation. And actually this work done by the effective pressure 2P in 1 second on unit area actually appears in the form of the increased energy of the radiation. So from the idea of work and energy, you know, whenever work is done by a force, that work done actually appears in the form of energy. So actually this 2P into V will be equal to increase in energy. Or you can say that when you say that there is an increment of energy, how you can explain that increment of energy? Actually, that increment of energy is accounted for the energy increment can be accounted by this work done. So this in work done per second per unit area accounts for the increase in energy in front of the moving surface. So you can say this accounts for the increase in energy in front of the moving surface and therefore we can equate these two values. So we will write 2 PV is equal to 2 UV. So you can see this 2 and V will cancel out and we get simply P equal to U. And say this is equation 3. So we can see that radiation pressure in this condition is actually equal to density of radiation. Now first of all, let us see what we have written in just equation 1. You can see here that in equation 1 we have found a relation between the energy density and the intensity, and this equation reads as I equal to C into U, and from here you can find this U, which will be actually equal to I over C. So let us use the result obtained in equation 1 in this equation which I have just obtained here. So you can see from equation 1 this U is actually equal to what? This is I over C, and therefore we can write that this P is equal to I over C. So radiation pressure actually depends on the intensity of the radiation. Actually this result is for the case when the radiation falling on the surface is actually absorbed. So this is the pressure exerted in case of absorption of the radiation by the surface. Now if the surface is a perfect reflector, then you know the same amount of energy will be actually reflected, and hence in this condition the actual pressure exerted will be just 2 times of this value. So this result is for absorbing surface, that is a surface which actually absorbs the radiation. But if the surface is a perfect reflector, then as I have told you, same amount of energy will be actually reflected. So in this condition, pressure exerted by the radiation is just 2 times of this value. So P in this case will be actually equal to 2I over C. Actually these two results is the simplest result, because here we have actually considered a collimated beam of radiation. But in actual practice, normally the radiation is not a collimated beam, but it is a diffused radiation. So in the next lecture we will see that the pressure exerted in case of diffused radiation will be related to the intensity or the energy density